But no, I think to answer your question, what is the theme? I think the theme is like, this isn't a straight line.
Sure.
And exceptionalism happens from people that are really curious, really interesting, really willing to share, to be authentic, to dive into things. And I think a lot of people are afraid to just ask questions of people and have conversations in today's world. And so we don't care. We don't care about politics so much. Like we don't care about almost anything other than how do people get through today in a better way and start to build for tomorrow. I think that's really where it is. And I saw it with students that are just so confused. They've been told, go do this. Like, and they show up and there's nothing there.
Show up in the world and nothing's there.
Job school. They go to school and they
everything they learned wasn't like
true.
Okay,
yeah, and like they haven't. They paid. They got $100,000 in debt, and they have an education. And people are like, "Here's a $50,000 a year job. You really didn't do anything.
Yeah,
you're not really that valuable."
When did you figure that out?
My whole life, I've just been searching.
I mean, is it particular to this sort of graduating class of students that it's the world's? Okay.
No, this is, but it's been exacerbated.
Sure.
Through social, through internet, through all of the reduction in cost of communication.
Right.
Because we're more connected and less connected.
Right.
People don't talk to their family. They sit on their phone and sit on the couch.
Well, do students want to be taught differently? I mean,
yes.
Okay. I mean, because I would assume, because I went to high school and I'm in college in the 90s. And
me too.
I couldn't imagine the internet being part of that, situation at all. I mean,
no, we had to learn things.
Right.
Yeah.
You had to buy books and there's a library.
They don't read books anymore.
Right.
That's generally speaking a non-starter in the education process.
Got it.
And so so what they will do is watch a podcast, or listen to it. They'll watch a video on YouTube, especially if they're like, hey, and so I'm not really linear. I'm not really great at this yet, and so some of it's like learning.
Yeah,
but I'm interesting enough or proven to be interesting enough or connected enough to have good guests. And now I think I've had like 4 or 5 shows like that. I'm like, okay, I'm pretty proud of that. Like I'm getting where.
And you've done how many so far?
Probably about 40.
Yeah, I'm about the same.
Yeah.
I think I've done like 41 podcasts. And I'm starting to listen to myself more. Like I've gotten over, like I know how to edit myself and I know where I want to make improvements right now and it took 40 episodes to get to that part. Right.
So at about 25, I was like, all right, I have an idea.
Yeah.
And then I started and then I was like, I'm not that good. So, it's like, but now I'm listening to myself, which improves what I do so much better.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yesterday I came in here and it was a new studio. I'd never been in it. The setup's different.
Yeah. And
I knew the guy really, really well. And usually when I know them really, really well, it's a great feeling for me when I leave.
Sure.
And he's like, no, I enjoy it. And then I had a good feeling. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't. Like I did a bad job. And then I felt bad afterwards because he's like, oh man, I didn't want to give you a bad podcast. I'm like, you didn't give me a bad podcast. I did a bad job of me. Like my overwhelming, like what I want to be in life is not average.
Got it.
And so
you don't want to be an average podcaster.
I don't want to be average anything if I do it, right? Like if I'm going to put the time and effort and money into doing something, I want to learn how to do it really, really well.
I have a couple of people in my orbit who are very high level podcasters with successful podcasts. And I had a question that I asked the guy a couple of weeks ago, and he gave me this really great piece of advice. And I was talking about how to edit myself and make the shows a lot tighter. And he said that even doing 2-way interviews like this, not even a narrative storytelling, you start with 3 chapters, right?
Yeah.
And whatever your first chapter is, that's the stuff that you want to get to. And your goal is to just get the chapter 3 kind of smooth.
That's exactly the last 10 or 12. When I've done it really, really well, there were 3 things I wanted to talk about.
Right.
And like, when I was standing in line over there and I was like, how do I start the podcast so it's not what I did yesterday?
Sure.
And I was like, all right, I think I have it. It's like, and then you came in, I walked in and you changed it already. So the dynamic's entirely different and it's good. And in a good way for me, like it feels good. So it's like when I think of students and I know who you are. Like I knew who you were before I had a podcast when I was just, I'd followed the evolution of your career in media, in technology. I had seen all of that stuff. And like looking back now, you've gone through a journey yourself personally.
Sure.
Were you, I was a dick when I was a kid. Were you a dick or were you just trying to figure it out?
I was insecure, right? And I go back to kindergarten and whatever that first day was changed me. And that's when I
Really?
became an adult.
You can remember
with
it?
insecurities, right? I remember like my first interaction because I have a half sister. She's 10 years older. We didn't grow up together. So it was essentially an only child. And then walking in and having to figure out who I was supposed to be, how to get people to like me. And I kind of went the class clown route, kind of got bullied, kind of was a bully.
Yeah.
But high school, I felt like I had a great high school experience. I had great group of friends and I miss those sort of friendships because I don't have them as adults. When I got to college, I had no idea who I was. And I had a kind of weird college situation in that I didn't want to go to the school, but this was the school my parents wanted me to go to. That was the only one they were going to pay for.
Yeah.
And I had to commute from house. So it felt like community college. And I didn't want to be there. And I didn't know exactly what I wanted to be. I know I couldn't join a frat because I was commuting. And I had to figure out, and I got very depressed. I think it was the first time I really understood clinical depression, but I didn't want to express that because I thought that would be weird. So instead I chose alcoholism, and I say I chose it where I was like, okay, how do I get out of the situation and this feeling that I'm in? But I wasn't really an alcoholic. I just had to fake it to get into rehab. So I went to rehab for like my second semester of college. Just because I didn't want to go to college. Like I wasn't a full on, druggie alcoholic yet, but I remember going to AA meetings when I'm 18, 19 years old and being like, I think I'll be back here. Not right now. I will grow up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I felt like I missed out on figuring out who I was in the same way that most college people are, right?
Yeah.
I don't have the core group of friends that kind of grew up with me. I found that in New York in my 20s, but that was sort of like a delayed adolescence, I think.
Every other part of my life, I have very close friends from, except for college.
Really?
I do not connect. I went to law school,
Yeah,
PhD, like all those other places, business, law, like all growing up. I have great friends. I have, people say, oh, you got too many best friends. I'm like, well, they're from periods in time, right? I was many different people.
Yeah.
And so I understand exactly what you're saying. And I can remember just like being in Boston and just being so hammered.
Uh-huh.
and like one moment you think like I could be unstoppable. And the next moment you're like, I couldn't do anything.
Right. In terms of unstoppable because of the confidence.
I'm that good. Yeah. Okay, I'm that good.
Do you feel like that you have a healthy arrogance? I mean, just in terms of, and where did that come from? Was that, you were born with that or?
I don't know if I was born with it, but I'm fast.
Okay.
I'm fast. Like my mind works fast. And I've proven out that I'm right enough.
Okay.
That I feel comfortable articulating my opinion.
Sure.
Even when I'm totally wrong.
Right.
And I'm smart enough to listen to people that are smarter than me.
Yeah.
Like that my core capability is find smartest people on something.
Do you express when you don't know something? Do you say
all the time.
Right.
Yeah. I think
Because I think that's the difference between real arrogance and like
yeah, for sure.
right.
I think I have ego. Like I
Sure.
have desire to be better than people,
Mm-hmm.
desire to win. And I see it, but I don't have the need to win. Like I won't do anything just to be there, and I don't believe my own bullshit.
Right.
I never really have believed my own bullshit.
Is this because you grew up in like a sports sort of like ethos philosophy?
Yeah, but also like, I mean, so there's one thing, like the 1995 number one NHL draft pick.
Yeah.
I played hockey right next to him.
Got it.
So I watched him play hockey as a kid. I knew I wasn't that, but that's what I wanted to be in something. And it turned out it was like school. School was where I was better than everybody.
Like studying, test taking.
Like I can remember in law school an unhealthy arrogance, because like it's graded on a curve in law school back then. And I'm at University of Miami and this girl's studying right before the exam. I'm like, why are you studying? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you can't beat me.
Like the guy in Suits? I mean,
yeah. I'm like, and
like Good Will Hunting. I mean, what is
Good Will Hunting? He's actually like doing the math. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how my brain's doing it.
Right.
It's like, but I know it's doing it. And it was 2017. I met Peter Worth, who endowed the Worth Institute for Entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And this was the biggest bet on me. It was a $22.5 million bet at the time.
Sure.
Became roughly $40 million bet on my ability to execute a crazy idea. And that was where a lot of today I feel like I can go and do bigger things came from. But he saw it and he sat down with me and he said, don't try to figure it out. You know it. Like you see it, you put the things together, don't figure out why.
Right.
It's only going to slow you down.
Okay.
And so, you know, I've evolved tremendously. I'm 47. I am not the person I was at 20.
Sure.
20, the ego was not healthy, but it was because I was feeling insecure and inadequate in my own skin.
20 and you're still an undergrad, you're not in law school?
Yeah. No, I was in law school at 20. Yeah. You know, I mean, but I was, but that same thing that I think is healthy today of not believing my bullshit, I didn't believe it back then. They'd say, oh, you're so smart. No, I'm just, to me, I'm just me.
So you're trying to get more humble in learning, or I mean, or are you trying to kind of just like sharpen your exceptionalism? Is that what you're trying to do here?
I'm trying to learn from people that I respect and am interested in their experience. And so when I raised that money in 2017, it gave me the opportunity to start going places and asking people about their career.
Yeah.
And asking them, how did you become a billionaire? How did you build that company?
Right.
How did you build that brand? How did you build that movie? How did you build this? And like, just like you, like when you go read your bio, right? Go to Wikipedia. Let's go to Wikipedia. Read AJ's bio. We haven't even said your name yet on the show, but go read
AJ Daulerio.
Yeah. We could spell it even.
Yeah.
You know, but you read it and you're like, oh, all right. So there's some real high points, right? And there's some real low points. But it's like, man, that's early to be in that spot.
Yeah.
That someone saw something. Someone pushed there. Like, and I love to find those points and pull them out. Because I think kids think it's linear and they feel like they're failing all the time.
Yeah.
And yet something happened. There was an opportunity. Somebody like grabbed their sack and went for it. Or they waited and the right thing came to them, you know, in the middle of sleep or in the middle of the desert, or, you know, I think those authentic stories of how the thing happened.
Right.
Not how I built this by, you know, like who cares? Like everyone's told, like, and again, when you interview someone like you, it's like, well, there's a million articles about Gawker and what happened and Peter and all that shit. That's less interesting than how do you wake up after that and rebuild your life.
Right.
You know, that's something a kid can take from.
Yeah. I mean, I'm supposed to speak at Loyola Marymount at a J school class, and I haven't done that in probably 20 years, right? But I know the guy who's running the course, and there's a course on the Gawker case. And I usually don't like to talk about it because I get so agitated at some point, and I don't know when it is. I mean, I hate to call it trauma, but there is a button that gets pushed that I have no control over what my response is going to be. It's a real visceral, physical response. But, you know, I feel safe with him, right? And I want to tell that story in front of college students because I wonder what their version is, right?
Yeah.
And when I talk to journalists, sometimes I should never talk to journalists about this, like ever. I know I'm going to come off poorly, and I know I'm going to react poorly, and it's going to make me feel bad for the rest of the day, regardless if it goes well or not. It's just going to bring all of that stuff back because I'm never a good character in this story, right? And I'm always kind of forced to basically accept whatever other person's version of it is. But in this case in particular, I mean, I have to explain to people that I don't know the free speech aspect of it. I don't know the Peter Thiel aspect of it. I don't have a resentment against Hulk Hogan or Peter Thiel. What bugs the... Can I curse?
You can curse all you want.
Okay.
Because I can't not curse, so.
I was going to say bugs the shit out of me, but I will say.
Yeah.
Is
my mom might comment about it. But
that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. She curse a lot or doesn't?
She does, but she's not real keen on me doing it on a recording.
So that'll be my only one.
Yeah. No, but, you can curse.
But when I think back to, here's an example. So Republican National Convention's happening. Hulk Hogan goes up, rips his shirt off. I get text messages like, "Are you okay?" Right? Like from people just instinctually doing like the rubbernecking thing. And I wasn't watching it, but I am. But I get annoyed when people ask me if I'm okay.
Yeah.
And it
happens when your dad dies, your mom dies. People ask you, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, but not as much. I mean, my dad did die. I didn't get as many "Are you okay?" as he did in the RNC, right?
Of course, I'm not
like
okay,
people from like the woodwork coming out, like you know. But the thing that hangs me up is there's one particular journalist who was interviewing me during there were two actually. So when I like the negative voice in my head that I hear is the tone that some people took with me while interviewing me. And it was just like this, like demoralizing, condescending, you know, you're this person this big and you can never evolve out of that, right? This is basically your obit that we're writing right now. And I heard that, whether or not it's true, but I mean, that's kind of the voice in my head that I heard. And so I discovered that it probably took a good 2 years after March 2016 when the trial was, for me to really start to work through what was bugging me about it, what was trapping me.
Wow.
And what I discovered was that, you know, all of the stuff that I thought I had lost, right? Like whatever semblance of a career I had, financially, like reputationally, like all of that stuff, I thought I needed to get back, but I need to let go of that in order to move on, right? That was the key. And it just like that wouldn't register like when I was in the trial and like had the big lien on my checking account, stuff like that. It took really, you know, it ending in a way and figuring out that just like I'm making the choice to have this stuff bother me in the way, and everybody else has moved on.
People don't care about you nearly as much as you care about yourself.
Oh, I know. Right? And I was like, so disappointing, right? Yeah.
That you can't believe that they moved on in some level too.
Yeah.
Like, how can you like, how can we not talk about this again? But no, I mean, I think like I mean, first off, I remember watching it live as a lawyer and being like, well, he never lose. How could he lose this case? Like, I remember thinking that, like, this is all
how good. The Gawker loses case?
Yeah. How does this happen? Like, I remember thinking like, and so again, you know, what's neat for me to have this conversation with you is like, I remember the work you were doing at Deadspin, the Gawker, all that stuff.
Right.
I was watching it. So it wasn't like, and you were way over there, but I was watching and interested. And so and it was like, man, this guy was brash. He was pushing it. You were
Me,
pushing it. Yeah.
right.
You were pushing it.
I mean, because of where I worked.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's like the thing that, I mean, if I wasn't working at Gawker, I wouldn't have behaved the way I did. Right. You know, I mean, that's the thing that I had to come to that conclusion myself. It's just like, oh, you know, I was working at a job, and part of my job was to create a spectacle and be an asshole. It was, right? But the major part of my job was to, in my opinion, was to kind of open up the possibility of different voices and different styles of writing and kind of incorporate a more long form traditional magazine stuff. But I'm not that guy. I couldn't be that guy, right? I had to be the guy that got all the attention. And
are you proud of what you accomplished through that period?
No, not really. I mean, I think they could have been, and here's the thing. I think that anybody that has been at like a high level editor-in-chief, editorial director has to go back and be very critical about the choices that they've made. And I do that as well. But I mean, I think it's a little different because I was at Gawker and I understood that I was making some choices that are going to really screw up people's days, like in their careers or their marriages and things like that. And having to really suppress all of those sort of human empathy in order to do my job, that started to screw me up. And there was a different way of doing it, right? I could have made a different choice on like a lot of big stories that I got known for. And I wish I did that, right?
Really?
Like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that even in the moment when some things had blown up for me and I got a lot of notoriety and I loved the attention. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's nice.
That was the goal.
It's nice.
Right? People writing about you, even if they're saying bad things. Look, think I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But I knew I wasn't, right? I mean, I knew it wasn't exactly what I wanted to be. I mean, I came to New York to be a writer. I didn't come to New York to be whatever I turned into at Gawker and Deadspin, right? I mean, that was supposed to be a stepping stone out into something else. And that became my personal brand, which I didn't necessarily want, but it was successful for me though too. So it's like
you're
well, I knew I had, you know, when I left Gawker kind of just like very impulsively, just because I said I needed to test my formula elsewhere. And, you know, I got a decent job being editorial director of like Spin Media and I asked for a buttload of money. Like, I mean, because I was just like, I'm the best at what I do. I can change this whole entire thing. And I went in there full of Adderall, full of arrogance and wearing a visor and talking to this guy. And I'm just like, no, you should pay me $475,000. Right. I think they offered $250,000. And I was like, no, this is what I can do. And I wasn't the right opportunity to do that. Like I think I could have done it, but that structure wasn't right for me. And I got fired real quickly. And I knew I was going to get fired day one,
really?
Basically. Yeah, because it's just what I wanted to do was there wasn't an opportunity to do that.
You know, when the organization is structured in a particular way,
they were transitioning from, I mean, I had a vision that I wanted to work at Spin magazine, right? I loved that music magazine growing up. And that was, to me, the showcase property of like the 50 other ones that they had. And my like plan was to basically build everything around Spin magazine, keep all the long-term writers and stuff like that. And then how you play like the high-low game on the internet is that, you know, I could get the attention and push all the buttons and make the arrows go up traffic-wise. But you have to have the writers be happy at what they're doing, right? You can't make writers do slideshows or things like that. Like nobody else wants to deal with page views, right? That's supposed to be the editor-in-chief's job to get attention like that. So I really wanted that opportunity, but if nobody else sees that, then there's no opportunity to do it.
You sat in a seat during the actual change of media.
You think?
I think so.
Well, there's the pivot
it's a
to
real
video age. Well, like, I remember the day that happened, and I think it was the Facebook basically kind of saying we're shutting off the fire hose, and everybody's scrambling about what to do. And Facebook saying they're going to pivot to video. And I don't know if you remember this viral video of the woman in the Chewbacca mask and like the Walmart thing, and then like, and she's on Ellen and all this stuff. And everybody's kind of scrambling, just like we need people to kind of, start tying rubber bands around watermelons and shit like that, right? And it was a dead end, right? Like when you talked about scale in that era, there weren't enough people on the planet to chase that, right?
Well, I think that about TikTok right now. Like
Right.
I look at people's follower numbers and I'm like, there's 1/8. Cut it in 1/8. Those aren't real people.
No.
And like, go to 1/8. And so I'm like, oh shit, that means only like 100 people are reading me. But like,
do you think that was the ad market that was dictating those numbers? I mean,
yeah.
It was.
So like when you bring talent into UTA right now, they'll go, how many TikTok followers? Well, if you got 25 million, and then you're like, oh, okay. So then you leave and you go, well, I can get 25 million.
Yeah.
It's not even that expensive.
Well, it's
you
saw this firsthand in like the book publishing industry, where there were people getting book deals because they had 50,000, 100,000 Twitter followers, and thinking that, oh, well, that's convertible into book sales.
Conversion is a totally different beast.
Totally different.
I've got I currently work with, I think, the best woman personality on conversion. And she did $4 million in sales with 320,000 Instagram followers, and they'd be like, not enough.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, like, these are real people.
Exactly.
Paying real dollars.
Exactly. And that's the difference that I think most people from my era of, like, let's call it blogging. I mean, chasing page views, it was not the game that anybody was supposed to be chasing at that point. But if you had like people that were going to kind of be lifetime fans, right? If you tell a good inside joke that like one person gets and just like loves that forever, they will follow you wherever you go, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to kind of just like take the risk and actually just, do that, almost sometimes alienating the other audience in some ways.
Yeah.
If you want to build the one that you want, right?
It's hate in the comments today means people will notice you.
But that's also, I think, a little bit unhealthy too. And this is
a lot of bit unhealthy.
But I mean, it's just, you have to make money. Unfortunately, I mean that's kind of I mean, I think that anybody who is very good at like having a sustainable career knows how to make money, whether that's just like, newsletter sales, whether that's like, getting sponsorships. I mean, it's just like, the people that are actually doing this and will do this for a long time understand the business part of this, right? And it's not necessarily chasing exactly what everyone else is doing. It's figuring out who your audience is and actually catering to them on an individual level, at least that I found.
You're a thoughtful writer.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
That was a compliment.
Yeah.
You're a thoughtful writer. When you are working now, are you proud of what you're doing now?
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Where did you get the freedom to do that?
I got the opportunity to do the small bow, which is what I'm doing now, based off of, there was a cryptocurrency company that was giving out grants to develop certain sectors of blogs or publications that they were going to fund with a coin that they were launching. But they gave you like a budget in both cash and this imaginary, I call it like space jewels, right? There's just because it's like nonsense stuff, right? And, when I did that, I originally, because I was very insecure about putting my byline on anything at that point. I felt like there was an asterisk next to my name and I had to kind of explain everything. Yeah. So I was more background editor and kind of developing this publication where other people would write and I would be editor in chief. And then we lost the funding. So I had to downsize and switch to like a weekly newsletter, right? And figure out Patreon and any sort of thing. But I wrote an essay and I wrote it just everything that was inside me. And I was just like, I'm going to like take a risk here and try to be the writer I always wanted to be. Right.
Yeah. No, it's apparent.
And then there was a good response and it felt good. Right. It felt right. And, I just followed that and just like, just to see where it would take.
Is it age? Is it experience?
It was experience for sure. It was experience. And then just like actually getting to see, you have to get to the point where it's just like, oh, I get to take the risk and there's no actual like stakes here. Right. And that's kind of, and once I started to believe that, we're just like, I need to get better at what I do and not care what everyone else is thinking, but I know how to get better at this point. And it's reps and it's risk really is all, at least as far as I can see.
There's a lot of bad writing in the world.
Thank you.
And so it's interesting. And I've started in the last, and after today, we'll do it. I've started subscribing, to people that I respect what they're trying to do.
Right.
And I'm already getting to the point where I like the computer, the process. Like I talk about myself as a computer. Like I just want to get as much stuff in and start processing.
And you can process that.
Yeah, and I'm taking my life back so that I can start doing that in a more thoughtful way to make money. I want to make more money now. And like,
what do you want to make money at?
Yeah. So
that's
a great question. So so I'll get the hit that I'm not focused enough, right? Like you watch the episodes, you know that I'm not focused enough, and I'll take that hit. And yesterday we were talking about it with someone that has a similar knock or reputation. And I continually think when I hear that, I'm like, you have no idea what I'm thinking. Because like, I'm very focused. I just do a lot of different things to get, because that's what drives me internally.
Right.
And that's what's motivating me, is to be able to pick this up and do that. So to make money, I think where I've gotten to is I'm exceptionally good at finding opportunities to generate revenue and monetize things that other people don't see.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'm exceptionally good. And so I'm now, for the first time in my life, confident enough, and I had this conversation the other day. I'm like, all right, hey, you know so much, like you don't want to pay me? Like, you don't have to. Like, I'm not like, this is, if you want me to do this for you, this is what it costs. There's no discount. There's no.
Am I paying for this right now?
Yeah, no.
Okay. You should have mentioned that.
But I mean, I had that conversation, and it was the first time I ever didn't discount my own value.
Interesting.
And you know what happened? Okay. Like, let's move this to the next call. Yeah. Right? And so I'm starting to see that where my vision of the world has exceptional value. I've been right about the biggest things, about data, about crypto, about name, image, and likeness in sports. I've been right significantly, and I have created massive value for other people.
Sure.
Education, I'm right on education. Like I know it's not and it's just like, the future, and I see it as clear as day, and it comes true. And now I'm like, all right, well, I can monetize it and I can influence it. If I can monetize it, I have the resources necessary to influence the outcomes, because I can see the positive, I can see the negative. How do I make this a better place? How do I make the world better? That's what I'm interested in. So the way I think I make money is help people monetize unique assets that they don't even realize they have.
Right.
And so, and I take different strategies, and a lot of times it's 1 + 1 = 3. It's how do you take something and just shine it up differently.
Do you have a comp person that's out there right now that you're like modeling this off of, or just trying to compete against?
No, there are a clear, I think, comps, like, from a intellectual or philosophical approach,
Right.
the one I don't like them, but Scott Galloway, at NYU, we have different ideas about things, but like what he's done is I look at it and go, all right, here's a guy that's taken a brain.
Okay.
He's taken an
That
idea and
makes
he's
a lot of
started to
sense.
create a thing, and
Yeah.
he has his own agenda. He has his own stuff. I don't necessarily
Yeah.
agree with it. I don't necessarily like to listen to him or read him,
Right.
but I respect what he's done from a business perspective around his own brand. Gary
Vaynerchuk.
has done things. I don't want to have VaynerMedia. I don't want to have that, but like that's closer to where I would go.
Okay. That
And
makes sense.
so, and I've built an army. That's the other piece. Like the David Noble show doesn't exist. Like I've wanted to do this for 10 years,
Mhm.
but I had to build an army for 10 years. I have a producer in New York who we're doing this now. And he's like, I don't care if you suck and nobody listens and this and that. We're just going to keep doing it till we
Right.
get better. I've got social media. I've got girls doing social media. I don't know how to fucking do any of that. Like they're not even that great.
Yeah.
But they're doing it because they want to. They want to be a part of it. People want to be a part of what I do.
Right.
I've seen that. And so now we're just going to, to your point, take a risk and get repetitions in
Mm-hmm.
right now, because I'm not getting younger, and pretty soon it's too late, and I'm going to be dead. You don't hear that?
Yeah.
It's coming. Like whether it's 40 years or 50
Yeah.
years, it's coming. So
I know.
get the repetitions in, and you'll find it. And then I've started doing this. I've started telling people what to do.
Okay.
There's a young woman I work with, and I'm like, you're going to be famous.
Right.
She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're not going to do this. You're going to be an actress. You're going to be this. You're going to be a comedian. You're going to be that. That shit, that's not who you are. Start to accept who you are. So I've started to hone in on spending time listening to people, working with them,
Right.
understanding who they are, what they are. And the number one thing that I'm trying to do now is tell people not to be entrepreneurs because they're not entrepreneurs.
And
this is what you are. Go do it. Do it well.
Sure. Yeah. What do you think separates a person that can be an entrepreneur and someone who can't? I mean, do you see one quality that is necessary?
There's a higher order of thinking required. I'll tell you what it is. It's you have to be willing to make the decision to publish right or wrong.
Yeah.
And deal with it.
Sure.
And know I'm going to go fix it later on. And if I screw it up, it's on me. And if it succeeds, it's on me. And most likely I'm still not going to be able to cause the outcome.
Right.
It's beyond me.
Yeah.
That's the part that's beyond me. But I control what I do, and I can do it. And I'm willing to accept that. And I think that's what makes an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, if you're waiting for permission or whatever, you're just not there.
Sure.
And but man, the rewards are there financially, so people want to gravitate towards it.
Right.
But that's a shitty answer to a great question. But it gets to what it is. It's like, I think what you all did in that era has changed the world. Good or bad? No, not good or bad. Changed the world and created different sets of platforms, different ways to share, different ways to teach, different ways to live, different ways to earn income. And the world is still trying to deal with it, and they don't know the answer. And man, that would be fun to play in. That's my take. That would be fun to play the next 10, 20 years in helping find that answer.
Right.
Because it's all of these things. It's media, it's entrepreneurship, it's writing, it's speaking, It's
Yeah.
articulating thoughts. Like all those things are reformulating and recombinating, making movies, TV show, like all of it. And companies, brands, they're coming together,
Right.
recombinating in different ways. And
How do you raise money? Like, what's your approach?
Beg right now is beg, but I think moving forward, I'm highly attracted to cash flow positive businesses
Yeah.
that I can get 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% of, help stand up, push forward,
Sure.
get an operator in there that knows how to operate.
Right.
And that's what I mean when I say I'm telling people, like, that's like, you should be running a brand.
Right.
You should be running this. You should be doing this.
Sure.
And like, I'll help you do it. And that's where I think this, and my team,
Right.
because I have this great group of people that want to work on these things.
Right.
And so right now we're building a brand lab, which will allow, I think our first cohort will be moms, fingers crossed, but we'll allow them, we'll build the infrastructure to launch e-com brands off of.
Right.
So
But what
very
does
simple.
e-com brands actually mean? Because I mean, a lot of this stuff
Apparel,
seems like very like opaque, and I don't understand exactly what
Yeah. So
it is.
apparel,
Apparel. Okay.
journals, coffee.
For moms.
Yeah, whatever moms are interested in. Makeup bags, any of these things.
Right.
We have all the pieces in our small network because we've been working on this for 4 years in the university. We can get distribution, we can get product, we can get design, we can have your website. We can do all the things that would take you a year and a half to do in about a week.
Right.
With AI, maybe 4 days.
Sure.
Now, right?
Yeah.
And so then we come in, and so like, what are you interested in? So right now I have 2 students working on a bag that girls will have in their purse for the most important things, which they grab out of their purse and put in their nighttime purse. Go from the daytime to the nighttime. It's just another bag. Have their chapstick, have their like whatever, like little things like that.
Bag within a bag or
bag within a bag.
Bag within a bag.
And that's exactly it. The thing, because like you ever look in a woman's purse, it's a fucking disaster.
Not
So
really.
yeah, check one out someday. Look in it, and you'll be like,
I should just rob somebody on the way home. I guess.
Then you'll have a purse, right?
Exactly.
So
For research purposes.
Yeah, that's one. I have a great student, and he got worried because I'm on your team, doing a coffee brand.
Yeah.
And he came up, he's like, man, human intelligence. HI, not AI, human intelligence. That's the coffee brand.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we can do 70 products off of that. Like, that's actually good.
Yeah.
Like, you got it. Now get the colors, get the logos, get everything. Now then go back and start to think through, how do you get clicks?
Sure.
Right. So there's that. Like those little things. Cause like when you see the e-com brands build up canes, right? Now, this guy's built this company. It's a like a Crocs-like shoe made from Brazilian sugar cane. He got, I don't know how much he's doing, but I bet he's probably doing 10 to 12 million in sales this year. The next 10 million, tough.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
He's going to have to pay a ton to get that 10.
Sure.
Fuck that. Just collect the cash.
Yeah.
Move to the next brand.
Next thing. Right.
And that's how I plan to fund a lot of what we're doing.
What do you know what I love, and I can't figure out exactly how it works, but I've become just like a very, very loyal consumer of liquid death water, right? And I'm stunned, but that it worked, right? Because it's water. It's all it is.
I remember seeing it the first time in Tennessee in a gas station.
And you knew it.
And I bought it.
Yeah.
And I drink the bubbly one.
Right.
I get mad when I end up accidentally with the white can.
I get mad with the black.
Yeah, see, I like the black. So like, but I grab it, I drink it, and I was like, this is good.
Yeah.
And like, I don't like the flavors. I don't like it.
No.
But man, I would buy that and pay whatever you want me to pay. I'll pay it.
It's so crazy because it's water. But
water.
I and my kids are into it, and just like, I don't know why this water tastes so much better than any other water I have today. And I drink a lot of it too, which is good because I usually don't hydrate as much. But if I have a case of liquid death,
It's crushing.
70 ounces of water.
$50 gone. It's like insane because you can get it out of the tap.
You can get it out of the tap.
But man, it makes you feel good. And like I remember thinking at first, like this is kind of creepy. It's kind of like, and then like
the old Metallica concert church. Sort of
thing. Dude. Yes, exactly. Hey, Oscar, can you run the student question? We have a student send in a question. Never know what happens when they do that. But oh, here she is. Sometimes they're funny and sometimes they're serious.
Sure.
Hi, AJ. Big fan here. I'm curious to know, what was the hardest part about breaking generational trauma?
Oh, no, that's out there. So I'm gonna give you a heads up before you answer that. She's a superstar, this girl.
Sure, okay.
And I put her on the phone with someone. I said, hey, why don't you talk to Emily?
Right.
Her name's Emily. Emily fan, big fan here. Emily. And the first person, he said, oh, how much childhood trauma do you have? And she's like, oh, I have all of it.
Right.
And like, so I think this is an authentic question from her.
No, I love it.
And I think and I just wanted to put that out there because like you could have taken it a little softer than I think. I think she's asking for a piece of advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to go through. So this is how I discovered whatever generational trauma that we'll describe it as. But when I was in rehab, I had an acupuncture treatment, and that acupuncture treatment unlocked a recovered memory, which was essentially just like some sort of sexual abuse that happened when I was a little kid, right? That had trapped me for a long period of time. This was this block, but I could identify it now on my body in a physical way. But it was also the most embarrassing and humiliating thing to have to go through because it felt like, oh, there's a whole reset on my life now. And I got to walk through the world being a different guy than I was when I had this memory. It sucks. I'm like, put it back in where it was, right? But then, obviously I started to go to therapy, and therapy, drilling that down, I did EMDR for a little while, and that helped a lot, at least just identifying that part on the body and just knowing how to handle a lot of those sort of uncomfortable feelings. But I just started to have to acknowledge it, that it's part of me, and not like, announcing it to everybody, right, but people who know. The shorthand, it's like whale sonar. Right. You can figure out like the people who are haunted and kind of walking around. You can see the same limp on people, right? Really? And you start to have that conversation, and that just like really helps break it up, at least into just like something that's manageable, right? Like I love talking to people about it. I really do, because it helps me get through it.
Which is contrary to everything you lived with for a long period of time.
100%.
Of repressing it.
Yeah, because it's embarrassing.
They can't eat you.
Right.
And so the third thing I had today was they can't eat you. I've been telling my entrepreneurship students that for 20 years.
Yeah.
Why not try it? They can't eat you. You can go bankrupt. Fuck, I done that.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Like they could take your house. Fuck.
Yeah.
Sure. They could take your car. Sure. Yeah. They can do this, but they can't eat you.
Right.
Now you are as close to getting eaten as any person I've ever met.
It was funny because I used to have a version of that I used to say was just like, well, they can't take away your birthday, right?
Yeah, the same thing. Same exact thing.
Like the final judgment and verdict and jury award
happened
for the
on your birthday.
Happened on my birthday.
Yeah, they fucking took it.
It was like a negative $115 million birthday present. So only up from here. But
it's so comical. It's so fucking comical. I suspect you could probably only laugh about it because otherwise you just cry. But it's so comical.
Right. Well,
it's a joke. It's a joke.
When, Nick Denton and then Gawker declared bankruptcy. And because it was in Florida, you're defendant, right? I'm a defendant. So I'm as liable as anybody else is. And so my lawyers are basically just like, well, you have like $1,500 in your bank account,
Yeah.
You're fine. But I wasn't because then, waking up, I guess that was like, August, 5 months past the trial, and seeing like that negative 200 whatever $1 million in my Chase account. I was kind of relieved because I was just like, well, I guess I just got to walk the earth right now. People will be buying me groceries and like taking me out to dinner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I got this very,
Did you have friends that circled around you?
100%. Yeah. I mean, that was all you could do to get through it. I mean, that was it. I mean, I was fine. Right. I mean, it was hard and humiliating, but I was fine. Right. Because I did. I mean, I had all of my colleagues pass the hat, friends, family. I mean, just people paying for my Ubers, for my flights, for my groceries. Like, I mean, we got through it, right? And
so it's hard to say, hey, AJ was a dick.
Yeah.
If other people are stepping up,
of course. Yeah.
Right. So it's more you're trying to live life.
Right.
You found a job.
Yeah. Well, this is an interesting sort of development is that, I never call myself canceled or anything like that. I've never really used that to describe me. Other people have, right? But when I started doing the small boat and I started writing about all of this feelings and processing some of the public reckoning that happened and stuff that it was true, not true, whatever, it didn't matter. I needed to work through all of it. But I started to get emails and phone calls from other people who had been canceled, right? In a really more severe way. And again, like I was talking about with the generational trauma, you can have a really wonderful conversation that I was absolutely an empath in that way now, right? I could tell people that basically just like, don't kill yourself. Honestly, you may have lost your career right now, but there's still a life to live. May not seem like it right now, but I promise you, like there is something else there for you where you can continue to kind of just like have a joyful life.
The fear of that unknown of shame and humiliation and not having money is worse than all of it.
100%. Yeah. And I get that. Like, and I really get that. I can feel it in my bones. I remember waking up every day I was dating she was my girlfriend at the time and we'd just started dating.
Yeah.
But I was like waking up every day, chain smoking, talking to lawyers and talking to reporters. And I wasn't doing anything else.
Right.
But I didn't know it. I thought I was like, working the phones and trying to get my, like, whatever. But there was another, person that I knew who got into some just legal trouble, kind of just really effed up his life and upended it. And he asked me just, how to get through it. And he said he wanted me to write some sort of op-ed about him and support him. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. But I'll give you a list of 10 things that I did not do well when I was in the shit that I was in. And the number one thing was I didn't live my life. Like I put everything on hold. I was just like, until this is dealt with, I can't be happy about anything. I can't go on vacation. I'm not going to go out to dinner. I'm going to just be shrunk. Like, I mean, I'm just going to be angry and bitter all the time. That cost me like 18 months of my life, like being that way. But, it wasn't until, I had, my wife got pregnant in the middle of all this stuff too, right?
You got to question her judgment.
That's what I said. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck's your problem? I was like, I had like a coat of red flags that I'm wearing. It's Googleable.
It's there. Yeah.
It's like,
there.
It's right there. But, and I was in the middle of it right then. And she told me, she was just like, not to pile on. But
you're going to be a dad.
Well, it was just like, what do we do here? Like, and I don't know why, but I was just like, I love you. I think I want to do this.
Yeah.
Just family, not so happy about that decision, but I mean, which I get. My family a little worried as well. But, I don't know why in that moment where I was just like, okay, I think because all of the other artifice in terms of just like, career, money, all that stuff is just like off the table. But here's a path to being a better person. It doesn't require anything except me showing up and being there for my partner and being there for my child, right?
Yeah.
I may suck at it, but I'm going to give it a shot, right? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. So I thank you for the time.
we're done?
We're right. Yeah. Look at the clock, man. It's
What?
58:46.
Yeah, it's a long episode. Sorry.
No,
I got so much more to say. I got so much more
you
to ask
keep going. You go. So first off, thank you. I always answer questions when people ask them.
Yeah.
And I give my students that.
Yeah.
Ask the question.
I mean, what do you want your name to represent? Like, because I had no idea who you were when I got the email.
Yeah, it's
just
awesome,
like,
right?
The David Noble Show. I'm like, this guy seems like he's got a whole operation here.
I do have an operation. I told you, dude. Like,
but I'm like,
no,
why have I never heard of this guy? He's like,
Yeah, no.
So, you just,
dude, wait till you hear about my plan for my art career. By the way, I have no artistic skill whatsoever,
right.
but I'm going to make like 30, 40 million in art.
all right, cool.
Because it's all about operation.
Yeah.
No, there's a process. So people like to work with me. What do I want my name to represent?
Yeah.
I want it to represent the person that cares about other people
Mm-hmm.
and is willing to invest in those people, regardless of who they are and where they are, if they deserve that investment.
Yeah. So Scott Galloway,
Yep.
it was interesting because I remember I was editor of Gawker when his letter to the student went viral. Like I basically pushed that button and I watched that happen for him in that moment.
We always joke around like, well, we'll say something stupid and we'll go viral and then it'll be over.
Right. And I've seen him and I don't know what drew me to that letter in particular where I was just like, oh, this is refreshing. This seems like there's some like honesty here that like a tough love in an actual loving way somehow.
Yeah.
Right. You know? And then watching him kind of just like turn into that guy for many other people. But I mean, that requires like a trust, right? And so how do you develop that trust with an audience you don't know right now?
And I'm incredibly difficult to understand by the people that know me the most.
See,
So
what the hell does that mean?
Yeah, man. It's like I've spent my whole life, I think, misunderstood by the people closest to me. The number one thing that people get wrong about me is my motivation and intention.
Okay.
They have to put their own motivations and intentions on it. So like, oh, David has some alternative.
Gotcha.
You know,
Well, are you wealthy?
No, I'm poor. I'm working rich. I make good money, but I'm not wealthy.
But you want to be wealthy, or no? Or you want to make
I
other
want
people
money
wealthy?
to be able to do fun things,
I mean, this costs money. Is like UConn pay for this or no?
So this particular episode is a UConn episode.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So we're giving. So I have a theory that universities should be doing this.
Sure.
And I'm not the best podcast host to do it, but like you should have 4 or 5 at a university.
That's smart.
And
I think that's really smart.
And other people won't do it.
Right.
They're afraid to get on and talk. So I constantly have to be the first person to do it.
Yeah.
But there are things in the world that I know I can do, and I need the money to do them, and other people probably won't give me the money.
Right.
But no, I want my name to represent a conversation. I'm not going to burn you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not going to aha you. Like if Kelly Acoin comes in.
the generational trauma question was kind of just like
that's her. Yeah, that's her. I gave her a platform, and I let her run with it.
I hope I answered it.
I thought you did a great job.
You sure?
Yeah. No, I think like really like.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, she should email me afterwards and let me know. But I have to continue that conversation. Yeah. Right.
But I mean, I think I want my name. I want my name to the impact that I've had on people's lives.
Right.
I want more of that. Right. And that's what I want to bring.
But you're saying that, and I know who Gary Vaynerchuk's audience is. And by the way, I saw him speak when he wasn't the guy that he is now. But it was interesting because there was one thing that he said that I actually continuously follow through with and think is correct, which is he said something about like he was running his parents' wine business or whatever it was at that point.
Liquor
But he
store.
said that he responded to every single email that came in, regardless of what it was about. He spent every single one. And just to build sort of loyalty and trust and know that people are the other side of that. And I still do that, right? I probably like 85%. Like sometimes it just gets lost, but I make sure to do that. And that was just because he said it. I hate myself for it because I don't continue. I don't like look to him for advice or anything along those lines. But that was impactful. And so like I remembered it and I continue to remember it.
Yeah, there's those little things, right? That you take, and I've had. So for me, I've had that experience with people where this one young girl, the girl that came on our show that has had the least amount of followers, amount of. She came back. I think her episode goes up. She did her second episode with us. I said, man, your content's getting so good. You're publishing so many more times. Why are you doing that? She goes, well, you told me to do it last time I was on the show.
Right.
I had no idea I said that.
Well, why'd you say it?
Because her shit was good.
Right.
And it was clear to me.
Why are you using words like content then? Like people who like, people hate that. People like me fucking hate when you call it content.
Wow. Her videos, her skits, her sketches, whatever they were good. She had one that was like gym horse. It was like a hobby horse in a gym and all this shit. And I was like, this is funny. Do it. Like people will notice. And now she's like tripled her audience. She's gone from begging to do a stand-up thing at Boris and Horton in East Village for 4 people to like doing a comedy club on Tuesday for 4 people.
Right.
But it's like now she's building and I think she's really talented, and like to be able to help people like that just move forward or just give them the confidence to try that. That's what I think. If my name could mean one thing, is like when we come in and we say, hey, we think you should try this. Yeah. You go and try because you got confidence from me seeing it. And we've seen that over time.
You know what was the hardest thing for me to do was, and because I technically worked in journalism, right? And on the edges of it for a while. But I never liked to consider myself a journalist, right? I didn't think of myself as a journalist. And then obviously doing what I do now, I don't think there are any elements of journalism to it other than the fact that I worked in it before. But I've now gotten the comfort with calling what I want to be an artist, right? Which sounds like the most pretentious, craziest thing you could possibly say. But I feel more comfortable saying that I feel like I'm trying to do art than journalism, weirdly enough, right? Because those are both like things that I feel like I'm an imposter in some ways, but art feels at least more comfortable. But that is a level of confidence that need to be kind of acquired and earned. And all that is self-confidence. I'm not declaring it for the world. It's just like, oh, I'm comfortable with what I'm doing now, finally, right?
Yeah, it's apparent.
Oh, well, good. Thank you.
It's apparent.
But I think that if you're going, the artist and the entrepreneur, I think, are closer in line than basically, let's say, the journalist and the entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think journalism is such a funny thing. Like it's almost a pretend thing. It's like economics. It's like an economist. Journalists and economists, they're pretending on things. They're based on false assumptions. Artists and entrepreneurs, they create shit. They don't even have to pretend it's something it's not. They just need it to be, they need to bring it to the world. The market determines it. Like, and both the artist and the entrepreneur knows the truth before the market.
Gotcha.
Whereas I just think economists and journalists there's something fraudulent to the whole concept. And I think what the changes that happen around the digitization of media and the push through that time in the 2000s and 2010s when you did it caused the world to gravitate so that the artist and the entrepreneur are the same thing. Entrepreneurship is art. It's not science. It's art.
But
And
is it business?
it is business. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a unique form of business.
Right.
And for me, it's 0 to 1, to steal Peter's, title. But his belief is he wants all of one. I think
I'm not
think
familiar
0
with
to
his work. Sorry. Really not. I'm really not.
That's his book, right?
Yeah.
0 to 1. And it's
Right.
it's kind of an evilish look towards how to do it. Effective. But like for me, the artist entrepreneur is more interesting. The person that tries to build a business that had like a new things that come to real life that help people, that allow people to live lives. That's super interesting to me.
So
that's what I get.
Just take restaurants, for example. I mean, is a restaurant a business and then a franchise is like an entrepreneurship? Is that, or?
No, I mean, it's sort of what is the person running it? Are they an artist or are they just showing up to work?
Got it.
Right. Yeah. And I think you can be both. So my mother owned a family-owned funeral home. The funeral home started in 1931. They are entrepreneurs because they're changing everything. They're looking at everything. They're reinventing. She reinvented funerals, which is a weird thing to say, but like it's the approach to how you do that business. And there's an innovation built into it. And like an artist, they're never happy. It's always like you're not comfortable with where you're at because you're trying to change. You're trying to, you're trying to create that it's the impact that gets you off at the end of the day. It's not the money. It's not it's like, and I think in journalism, there are journalists that are artists that are doing that, right? Like using journalist skills, yes, for sure. Certain types of ways of storytelling. You can use that entrepreneurially, you can use that artistically. But like the fact that you represent the sole source of truth around news and facts, we've seen enough now to know that it's really a difficult line to run, right?
I think so. Yeah, for sure.
I'd rather be an artist than a journalist myself as well. I think that's the right choice though. Like actually the right choice.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're doing is you're crafting the art around a story.
Right.
You're crafting the art around a concept.
But I'm more so, I mean, in the sense that I think that there is, if you wanted to call yourself a journalist, then this is like a two-way information gathering sort of session, right? I mean, you could technically do
100%.
that. Right. So, and I was just curious to where you stood.
No, I'm definitely not a journalist. I definitely, my goal is really to help myself and help other people.
But other people, meaning your students or just anybody who watches this?
Anybody that watches. People find me now. It's like, again, it's the guests. The guests are the best part of this. Right. I have relationships with 3/4 of the guests.
Right.
They'll call me up and ask me like, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
I was talking to someone about their parents going into a nursing home. There was a guest on the show.
Yeah. And why do you have an opinion on that?
My family's owned a funeral home for a long time, and I dealt with a lot of old people. And I think it's really good to get into assisted living when you're a senior and stay part of a community and talking to people and not to keep living your life, even though you're old, even though you're in bad economic. Keep living your life. Yeah. The longer you keep living your life, the longer you'll live. Yeah. And I think that's good for people's parents, right? Like, even though your parents say, I don't want to get out of that. I want to be in my home. I want to die here. I want to do like, no. We want you to live a productive life. And I think it's all the evidence and everything is on my side on that.
Okay.
So no, I mean, I have a vast thirst for knowledge and I'm not afraid to share my opinion and people tend to respect it once they get to know me.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting closer with me. I mean, almost respect your opinion.
Nah. No, but thank you, man.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
I learned a lot about myself.
That's good. That's always valuable.
No, this is great. I would like to talk after this if that's possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.